Yo, yo, yo. What up, Scoop? Welcome to the studio, everybody. It's going to be a short session. Just got finished watching WrestleMania, and I actually got to get up in like 4 hours to get ready for work. Yeah, it was kind of dope, but I've been watching wrestling for so long that I can, well, me and my homeboy, which is one of my moderators, we can pretty much tell people how the matches are going to go before the show even starts. Now, the tag team titles, on the other hand, I didn't see that coming. I will say that. I didn't see that coming. Everything else, I kind of figured it was going to happen the way it happened. You know, they basically bringing John Cena in as of late just to put people over. I saw Rhea Ripley becoming the new champ. Like everything kind of played out the way I kind of thought it would, even though I don't even watch Raw and SmackDown anymore because everything's, to me, is basically predictable now. Like even the tag match was flawed. Like towards the end, the cameraman got too close and picked up the wrestlers communicate with each other about what the next move's gonna be. Like, come on, cameraman. If you gonna fuck up, at least don't fuck up that bad. Oh, not the ads. Twitch getting out of hand with these ads, man. Like it was one thing people get like one ad, but now y'all got people getting like three, four, five, six, seven ads. Hell, I went to one stream and I think I got like 10 ads in a row. It was like 8 or 10 ads in a row. That's ridiculous. Like, come on, Twitch, what are y'all doing? Y'all got all these ads up here advertising stuff that people aren't even interested in. And even if it is something interesting, you showing it to people that's not even gonna buy it. And of course, in y'all defense, oh, it's a way to help the streamers out so they can make revenue. We not making no revenue off of them damn ads. If anything, it's hindering the revenue for the streamers that are making revenue. Because you play so many damn ads, you make people feel like they got to be obligated to sub to a channel just so they don't get caught up with all the damn ads. Because you playing 7 ads every 5, 6 minutes. And the sad part is, it didn't used to be that way. Like you might get one ad every every hour or so, depending on how long the person was streaming. Then all this DMCA and y'all got too many rules, and then y'all wonder why y'all losing out to people leaving Twitch and going to YouTube or Facebook gaming or other platforms. Y'all just like every other corporation. Y'all not for the consumer. Y'all all of what's best, what can make the bottom dollar for the people over at Twitch. Like as of late, you got people that have been on Twitch just as long as I have with this channel. This is my second channel. My old channel is still up there, but you got people starting to stream on freaking Discord. And then you can't even keep the site, you can't even keep the maintenance up on the site for the site to run properly. You got people streams getting delayed and they don't know why. And they sitting up there taking half their stream, trying to troubleshoot in the middle of the stream, losing viewers because you didn't do maintenance on the servers or keep the maintenance up on the servers. So you got the viewers and the streamers thinking it's something wrong with the streamers live feed, when all the while it's you guys. Make it make sense. You took this nice platform that people love to come to and you fucked it up. Oh, we're trying to improve the quality of it. No. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that's not what this studio session is about. You know, I'm not gonna waste my energy beating a dead horse. Cause they're not like the plug-in companies out there, you know, they're not like the software companies for us music producers that actually listen to their customers, that take their customers into consideration. But then, of course, you gotta remember Twitch is owned by Amazon. Amazon really doesn't give two shits. You know, they spend all this money with these commercials talking about they're all about their customers. Bruh, they not. Don't feed into the bull. When it comes to Amazon, the BS is real. I ain't gonna tell you how I know. Just know that I know. I'm gonna leave it at that. We gonna get into the studio session. So tonight's studio session, which would have been earlier, but I was chilling, getting ready for WrestleMania, and I gotta rush home from work so I can catch part 2. And it's only really like, but 2-3 matches out of the episode I want to see tomorrow. Oh yeah, so we in the same boat. We know what it is. So I was asked by one of my fellow producers about how I make my transitions. So tonight I'm going to show a few. I'm not gonna say they're secrets. I'm just going to show a few things that I do when I make beats, and I'm actually going to demonstrate a couple of different ways using a couple of different beats. All of which I've posted in Discord today. So the reason why I didn't stream till after WrestleMania was because before WrestleMania, I was chilling, supporting a fellow streamer, and an idea was brought to my attention. And at the spur of the moment, I followed through with the idea while watching the stream, cooked up 3 beats, Then made dinner, watched WrestleMania. Now we in the studio. So let's get to cracking. So for my first example, I'm going to use something that I've been holding on to since March of last year, which I just posted in Discord. If you're wondering where in Discord, if you have to wonder where I posted in Discord, then you're not a part of that. You're not a part of that channel in Discord. So that, my friends, is a secret. Only those who are meant to know where I posted it will know. Why? Because they're part of the channel, the Discord server that I posted it in. So let me turn this down so it don't be too loud in my ears. So here's a tip, quick tip before I play this beat. I learned a while ago because when I started learning how to mix my beats and trying to like mix songs, I would have the volume cranked up high. But I learned that if you mix with the volume turned down, not on the beat, like not I'm not talking on your master fader in the software. I'm talking about on your sound card. So like if you turn the volume down on your sound card, not low, like you gotta turn your the volume on your phone down to listen to somebody, but like just turn it down so it's not blasting in your ears. So it's like at a regular volume and then mix. It'll start helping you train your ears to start catching things that you would normally catch when the volume's up like super high. I know we like to listen. I know we like certain music. We like to turn the volume up so we can jam to it. Like when we're in the house cleaning or when we're driving, we like to take that volume knob or that volume button and crank that joint up real high. But for my fellow producers out there, you know, crank that button down. Let your ears do the work for you instead of the. I promise you, if you try it on something you've already mixed, and I guarantee you, if you tried on something you already mixed where you was like, I swear it's missing something or something's off, I guarantee you, if you turn the volume down to a nice level, you'll catch what you was thinking was off in the beat or what was missing. I guarantee you. So I just posted this beat in Discord. I've been holding on to this beat for over a year. And when I play it, you'll find out why. So I actually just loaded it up. And for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you see me posting little snippets of me using Pro Tools. Well, I was using this particular beat to practice mixing in Pro Tools. So I'm gonna play it and you'll see why. This beat's called Stop Playing. Hold up, chat. We got some audio issues going on here. Give me a second. We got some serious audio issues going here. We got some stuff that's not playing. Plus, I had to route the I didn't route the audio for you guys to hear it anyway. So, luckily, you didn't hear the oof. Like just now, my tag didn't play, no nothing. Like it skipped all over my tag, and then audio that's supposed to have been played on one channel was getting played in the channel where the tag is in. It was a catastrophe. All right, so like I said, this beat's gonna stop playing.
You doing too much, you cross the line while you playing all the time. Playing with my heart, playing with my mind, stop playing all the time. You doing too much, you cross the line while you playing all the time. Playing with my heart, playing with my mind, stop playing all the time. You doing too much, you cross the line while you playing all the time. Playing with my heart, playing with my mind, stop playing all the time. You cross the line while you playing all the time. Playing with my heart, playing with my mind, stop playing all the time. You doing too much, you cross the line while you playing all the time. Playing with my heart, playing with my mind, stop playing all the time. You cross the line while you playing all the time. Playing with my heart, playing with my mind, stop playing all the time. You doing too much, you cross the line while you playing all the time. Playing with my heart, playing with my mind, stop playing all the time. Doing too much, you cross the line while you playing all the time. Playing with my heart, playing with my mind, stop playing all the time. You doing too much, you cross the line while you playing all the time. Playing with my heart, playing with my mind, stop playing all the time.
So yeah, that's called Stop Playing. And before anybody asks, yes, that's your boy. That's the one and only me on the vocals, on the hook. I wrote it, recorded it with this very mic that I'm talking in right now. I still don't feel comfortable with the vocals, so that's why I've been sitting on this thing for about a year. But we're gonna mute the vocals and we're gonna mute the tag. So the question that was presented to me last night was, how do I make my transitions from section to section in the beats? So there's a few ways that I do it. Like, I know, especially when it comes to battle beats, you know, you got producers that got the drum rolls, the you know, they got all of the breaks, the drum breaks and the crashes and the sound effects and the you know, all those sounds and stuff, the transition from one section to the next section of the beat. But, you know, that's, I mean, you know, that's like battle beats. Like when you're in front of a large crowd and you trying to draw the crowd in with the, oh no he didn't, you know, to make them go crazy and get hype. But when you making beats, especially if you're making a beat in, whether you're making it for an artist or whether you're making a beat for yourself, you gotta leave room. Because if you're making beats and people hear your beats, if enough people hear your beats, somewhere along the lines get it's gonna get to an artist. And if your beats got all of the, you're not gonna have any room for the artist to get on it. You gotta remember that the artists, their vocals are an instrument too. They sit right in the center of everything. So you got the things that you have in the center of your beat, like dead smack in the center, are your kick, your 808, or your bass, your hi-hat, your snare, your clap, your vocals, and slightly panned to the left and to the right of that. Not a lot, but just enough to leave room for them to have space is like your percussions, like your tambourines, your congas, your toms, and then everything panned around that is your instruments. So everything sits in its own space or in its own pocket, so everything can breathe. Like if you notice in this beat, there's hella room for an artist to get on the verse. Like right here, here's the verse. So the way I look at it, or the way I learned from other producers where I was getting, and most of the advice, before I get in full detail, the majority of the advice that I give here on my channel is advice that I've learned, taken from, absorbed, or been given by producers that are actually in the music industry. Like have actually worked with major artists, who have collabed with major producers, who have records that are on the charts that have gone platinum. So I'm not just giving you information off a whim with no type of with no type of source. So one of the things I learned was to give the beat variation, like to change change it up every 4 to 8 bars. So let me zoom in so you can see it. So by this being 150 BPM, I got 8 bars, 8 bars, 8 bars. So this is the verse. So this is the first part, the verse, second part, the verse, the breakdown, the pre-chorus, and then it goes into the hook right here. So basically, I doubled everything because everything 150 BPM would technically, in technical terms, is double time. So I could have made the same beat at 75 beats per minute, which would have been normal time. So the first section right here, we got the piano, we got the pads, we got nothing but the clap, the hi-hat, and the kick. So simple transition to go into the next section. On the last bar, I just cut out the drums. So it's just the instrumentation playing. See? And it transitions in. Then on the next section, I bring in the snare in the 808. So it's a smooth transition. Like when I first started making beats and started understanding how to sequence beats, into a verse and a hook, I used to have like all types of different sound effects to transition from one section to the next. Like I like every beat had a crash in it. Like it would be a crash going from the hook to the verse, a crash going from the verse to the hook. Like I just had crashes on crashes on crashes and cymbals all in the beat. Like every transition was a crash and a cymbal. And I was like, it's not really necessary, because if I leave space for the artist between whatever they decide to write, however their flow is between them and the engineer mixing their vocals, it's gonna add to going from one section of the beat to the next. And then in the next section, right here, I go from having all the drums in there to just the instruments. I add 2 more instruments and just the 808. So it goes from it's smooth. So I take out all of the drums, I keep the 808, and then I bring the percussions in to keep the rhythm going. So if the artist gets on it, they can stay in the pocket with the percussion, and the percussion is basically there just to fill space and to keep the artist in the pocket. And then another little tip that I learned is right here. If you notice, right right as it goes into the hook, I bring all of the instruments in. But right here, you notice I got one bar with the clap, the snare, and the kick. That's another way you can do a little transition. Like watch how it go from just the percussion keeping the artist in the pocket to the drums just falling right back into place. See? See, whatever the artist flow is, the percussion's keeping them in the pocket. And then that one bar with that one drum hit right here. You got the kick, you got the clap. So it's going, let me go back a couple of bars. So you got ads again. All right. No, I'm not smooth. I just no, I'm not smooth. I just spend a lot of time on YouTube trying to learn what I can. But yeah, this is I don't remember where I picked this tip up, but I've been using it for quite a while now. So instead of using crashes and cymbals, I started taking the drums. I take like the last bar of the drums, which all I did was I took this last bar of the drums right here, cut it off, put it right on the end, and then you get and then for the hook, just to give the hook a little variation, I well, for this particular beat, to give the hook some variation so it's not the same thing the whole way through. into the breakdown. You mean the breakdown at the end or the breakdown going from the verse to the hook? Because between the verse and the hook, or verse to the hook. So yeah, I got the pre-chorus. And then it goes into the hook. And then on the second half of the hook, I put these little string plucks in just to give the hook some variation. You know, they're not overwhelming the rest of the sounds, but they're noticeable, and then it drops right back into the verse. You just need to hear it like 50, 11 times. And then I basically did the same thing at the end. So it's the same breakdown right here. It's in between that's on the pre-chorus, but I added like I took out all the drums because you can see this is technically the hook too. This part is the same as this part here, but I just took out the drums and the percussion and just left the kick and the 808. Now, what carries this part right here, the last section, is the vocals. That's what carries this part, which is basically the outro. Now for another demonstration. So for another demonstration, oh, that's what I'm great. I'm great. Show you using the beats that I worked on today. So the stream that I was watching today was Miss Tiffany Chanel, ladies and gentlemen. She streamed for like 19, 20 hours straight. And somewhere along the lines of the stream, one of her Twitch alerts is I think it's her raid alert. When she gets raided, it's somebody sampled the theme to the Saw movie, and it's the picture of the doll from the movie dancing, and somebody sampled the theme and flipped it into a beat. So somebody made mention to her about Michael Myers and Jason, and she was like, that'd be real cool. Somebody could take those and chop them up and flip them into a beat. And of course, I'm already sitting in the chat chatting with people. So without saying anything, I just told her like, later on today, I'm going to send you something. It'll be in your DM and Discord later. So I kind of took it a step further than just those two. So we did Friday the 13th. Which, of course, there's not much to this sample to actually chop, really. The actual theme, the actual Jason, his theme is not much there to chop. So for anybody who's getting the idea of making a Friday the 13th beat, chopping Jason's actual theme, not the theme to the movie, but his actual theme from the movie. It's not much there to it's all instrumentation. But just to let you know, Scoob, it's even less there to chop than what we had for the sample that she gave us for her scary beat challenge. So like literally. So you can see I got the chops here. There's really nothing there to work with. That's basically the whole thing. That's basically that's the whole theme. It just repeats itself. So I took it, and this is what we got. I call this Ganja on the 13th. Friday, Smokey, Craig, smoking, getting high, ganja, weed, Friday 13th. ganja on the 13th. So the other little tip that I do is, if you didn't notice me solo the sample, the first 8 bars so that's the chops that I came up with for the first 8 bars. Now, where the transition comes in at, because if you notice, the only thing that's playing in the next 8 bars is the percussion and the sample. The reason why it changes is because I took the next 8 bars of the sample and I reversed it. So I'm gonna play it from right here. And then to help with the transition, going back into the next 8 bars, I took the kick, brought it in on the last four bars, and then it goes back into, I take out the percussion. I kept the sample reversed, brought in the hats and the kick, and then from there it goes back into the original 8 bars. But on the last half of that 8, I cut out the kick. And then it goes into the same section, but I bring all the drums back in and I cut out the first 4 bars of the sample. And then on the outro, I reverse the sample again, leave the percussion, and then on the last 4 bars, bring back the kick. And that's how I transition from one section to that's how I did it with this beat. Transition from one section so it's smooth all the way through. So it's still only like 2 minutes or less, but it's still a groove where somebody could dance to, somebody could listen to, an artist can come up with an idea. So it's room and it's space. It's got a catchy vibe to it. So the next beat was Michael Myers, which, just to let you guys know, this is not the first time I flipped the Michael Myers theme. I've done it before. See, I keep telling you guys, it's not that I can't sample, it's just that when I started making beats, I chose not to. So I titled this one Trick or Treat. So I'm not going to play the original sample because we all know how the theme to the movie goes. It's the same theme in every version of the movie except for that one movie that had absolutely nothing to do with Michael Myers. So I'm just going to play the beat. and that one was Trick or Treat. So it so I was having this discussion with Scoob the other night while he was streaming that I don't really I have like a shit ton of plugins. Yeah, I got the Waves plugins, the Slate Digital plugins, I got free plugins, I got the Native Instruments stuff, I got the stock plugins and Logic. Um, then of course the Reason stuff, and then I got the demo at FL, so I can use FL as a FL Studio as a VST. But I don't use a lot of that stuff. I basically use the same plugins in repetition on just about every beat. Now, I might go through plugins and try and see what they do, and then if they give me some type of, nah, I'm not the plug. I just I I just do what I tell everybody. YouTube University. Like if you actually looked at my subscriber list for all of the channels I'm subscribed to on YouTube, 95% of it is music production. Whether it's an independent music producer or it's someone that they won a Grammy or they went platinum. Like I follow um what just like my Instagram, it's the same thing. I follow Lex Luger, Mike Will Made It, Metro Boomin, Nick Mirror, Bolo the producer, um, Mass Appeal, Machine Masters, Mike Colombo, Jermaine Dupri, Timbaland. It's independent producers, Illmind, Hit Boy. That's like that's the majority of my search history, my watch history. It's just I've been doing it since I learned that producers actually have people filming them, or there's clips of them in the studio or making a beat, or it's some type of tutorial on how to make a Metro Boomin type beat or a Timbaland type beat. It's, that's all I do on YouTube. On occasionally, I'll watch like one of those um forging videos where people have, they find like a old rusty motorcycle or a old rusty sword, and they'll restore it, or they'll actually make a sword from scratch. I watch that stuff like as a way to unwind or relax before I go to work or on my way home. That's it's like a creative thing just to relax my brain a little bit. But the majority of my YouTube is just music production or something involved in music production or plugins or software or tutorials or some type of audio engineering. Oh, I don't have a command for it. It's it should be down on the channel. If not, I'll actually, you follow me on Instagram. If you go on my profile on Instagram, I have a link tree link right there on my Instagram in my profile. My YouTube link should be in there with all my other socials. Because I did have the YouTube link here on Twitch, but I ended up taking it down because I stopped posting my VODs to YouTube because I kept getting hit with copyright claims from YouTube. because I used to actually, before I became a Twitch affiliate, I was actually still live streaming on Instagram on occasion and on YouTube, but I kept getting copyright claims on YouTube, which I couldn't understand because I'm I'm making a beat. So how is me tapping a note on the keyboard copywritten music? Like I'm tapping one key on the keyboard that, it, while I'm searching for a sound to start making the beat. I don't even have any sounds loaded. I'm literally just tapping the key, scrolling through sounds in a plugin, trying to find a sound to get a beat started. And that's a copyright claim. But now I've started posting like my highlights and my VODs and stuff back on YouTube. So there's not a lot of videos on there, but it's like some old videos. So you can actually see some of the progress of how I've been improving. And the reason why I've been improving as of late is because I've been staying consistent. And I've only been staying consistent because I've joined Music Our Way. Because every week we're making a new beat. And every other couple of weeks, somebody in the community is issuing some type of sample flip challenge. So I'm basically pretty much the majority of the week making beats. So that's why I said, you guys have helped me find the fun and the creativity in music again because it's helping me stay consistent. So that was Trick or Treat with the Michael Myers theme. And here's what I don't understand. People keep, people they talk about Saw. They talk about, of course, Michael Myers and Saw, like the two most popular horror movie samples used in music. Every so often you hear people talk about Jason, but everybody forgets about my man Freddy. They forget about the claw man that comes scoop you up in your dreams and turn them into nightmares and make you disappear out your bed and nobody knows what happened to you. So when Miss Tiffany and the people in her chat were talking about, you know, Jason and Michael Myers and somebody should make a beat, I was like, I can't leave out my man Freddy. So I threw that in as a bonus. And I made this joint. Yeah, Freddie had motherfuckers scared to go to sleep. Like motherfuckers watched the first couple of Nightmares on Elm Street, especially what was it? Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Was it the first one or was it the second one? Where Johnny Depp was laying in the bed with his headphones on and got sucked into the bed, and then it was just like a fountain of blood that just shot up out the mattress. And that shit had motherfuckers taking no dose, 3 pots of coffee, 6-pack of Coca-Cola. But yeah, I titled this one Sleep Tight. Because, Nightmare on Elm Street. Ads again. I'm about to turn them joints off. I'm about to slam turn them joints off. I think before the week is out, I'm gonna turn them joints off. Because ads be throwing the whole vibe of the stream off. Now I know you can turn the regular ads off, but the ads that pop up on the bottom of the screen, I don't think you can turn those off. I'm not sure. I think no matter what you do, those are gonna pop up. But the regular ads, I think I know for a fact you can turn those off. But yeah, I'm gonna turn them bad boys off tomorrow. But now that you're back, I titled this joint "Sleep Tight." You know, Freddie. Well, before I do that, this was another sample where it was not a lot. This is another one of those samples where it's not a lot to work with. It's basically like um I mean the Michael Myers theme was repetitious, but it had some variation in it. Freddy and Jason, their their themes are like really repetitious. It's really not a lot to work with. And that right there is basically the entire sample. That's how the entire sample plays out. The whole 2-3 minutes of it. So I took that and I chopped it up and came up with Sleep Tight. That's basically it. Oh man, like playing these three beats, I'm so tempted. I'm so tempted to reveal the two challenges that were issued to me this past Wednesday. I'm so tempted, but I can't do it because they already in the folder. And unfortunately, it's like Fight Club. Once you in, you can't get out. I'm just, I get so anxious to hear what everybody made, which is why I try to get my beats done first so I can get my beat in the folder first before anybody else does, so I don't get tempted to listen to everybody else's beat once I put mine in there. Now I get, see, it's weird because I've never actually had a group of people. Oh, you've never felt that way? Yeah, I get excited about it because again, I I'm so used to just making beats and trying to do all of the business stuff to go with it all by myself that it stopped being fun. And all these sample flip challenges, it's been creative, it's been fun. Like I was telling Miss Tiffany, because she felt kind of bad about the sample that she picked because it seemed like it was damn near impossible for it to be flipped into a beat. And like I was telling her, I was like, it's not that it was impossible to flip it into a beat. It was just that compared to all of the other samples that the guys had been working with, it wasn't as much substance there for them to work with compared to what they was used to using. I was like, it wasn't that it couldn't be done. It was just challenging to see how far of an extent and how creative everybody could be to flip it. She gave us a sample with no seasoning. Well, see, that's the thing. Sometimes, you know, it's just like with gumbo. When you go to make gumbo, you start with an empty pot. You got to make the roux before you put everything else in there. If you don't make a good roux, then you're not gonna have a good pot of gumbo. So she gave us the flour, which is the basic ingredient for making a roux. It was up to us to make the roux just right in order to get the gumbo going. You had to go in the kitchen for that one. And like I told her, I was like, it, it was a very creative challenge. It was it wasn't impossible. It was a real challenge. Cause with the sample and the request that she made for the sample, you had to dig deep into that bag of creativity. Man. I'm so tempted to play my beat, Scoob. I'm so tempted because technically, I wouldn't be in violation playing my wrestling beat because kids didn't actually give a deadline when the beats were due. He just said we should make them. So technically, if I played my beat, I wouldn't really be in violation. Are you telling me that's a flag on the play, sir? 5 yard penalty. $10 penalty. Well, I don't mean no harm, but the beat that I made for Monday, the beat that I made for your random sample challenge, and the beat that I made, well, let me put it this way. The lo-fi challenge, the Magnum PI beat, the random sample beat, and the wrestling beat, I'm gonna get suspended from the league for about a week. I'm gonna be the first person in Fight Club to have to sit in the penalty box. Just because of those 4 beats. Actually, no. 5 beats because I forgot Miss Tiffany's beat. I'm gonna be the first person in Fight Club history to have to sit in the penalty box. Oh, I'm I'm gonna be judging the hell out of you guys for that one. The Ultra Instinct one, not so much, but the Fatalis one, yeah, I'm really going. Man, I'm gonna have on the glasses, the bow tie, the little pocket protector with the notepad, in the Pee Wee Herman suit with the Michael Jackson socks and shoes. I'm gonna be that type of judge. But no, the transitions is, I look at transitions and beats as the same way I do when I make the beat. It's just I go off the feeling. Like once I get a loop going. So here's the breakdown on how I sequence my beats for the beat battles and the challenges. By them being only 2 minutes long, once I get my loop and I get enough sounds, I typically overproduce making my loop. That way, I'm guaranteed to have enough sounds to make it sound full if I overproduce. So once I get the loop, then it's usually sitting right here in the first 8 bars. And I take the loop marker and I count a whole 2 minutes out. Set my loop marker to as close to 2 minutes as possible. Then once I do that, I take my loop and I just repeat it until I get to the 2 minute mark. And then I just start playing it and I figure out, okay, I'm gonna take I'm gonna take this out of here. I'm gonna leave it here. I'm gonna cut this here, take this out of there until I get a decent sequence. And then as of late, I actually haven't been using my machine to make my drums. For those of you who have tuned in the past couple of streams, who have watched the past couple of VODs, I gave you guys a tip for if you want those, if you want your drums to hit like my drums do. Like if you look at my drums here, I've bounced them to audio. Well, except for the hats on this one. I didn't get a chance to bounce the hats on this one. But if you look at my kick and my snare, I bounce them to audio. But the only thing that's on them is an EQ. That's it. There's no whole bunch of effects on my kick and my snare. Just like on my hats is just the EQ. Just like my past couple of beats, well, not all of them, but I say maybe one or two of them. And within the past 3 battles, there was no effects on my drums. And the reason why they were hitting like that was because I made the drum sequences in Machine, and I bounced the audio from Machine into Logic. So it was basically the raw drums, the stock drums from in the Machine. No effects on them. Bounced right into Logic, sequenced. But for people who don't have a machine and you have access to the Native Instrument software, if you guys don't remember me telling you in one of the past couple of streams, you have something just as powerful as a machine. Matter of fact, I said this when I did the 15-minute beat challenge. If you have access to the complete software bundle from Native Instruments, and you got Battery 4, Battery 4 will be your best friend if you don't have Machine. Battery 4 works just like Machine. And here's another tip. Whether you use Battery 4 or, let me do this in a, so we're going to take the Q sampler from Logic, because basically the Q sampler, you can do basically everything in it. You can chop samples in it, you can put your drums in there, but most people don't take advantage of that, or if they have, let me load it up first. Oh, and when I load up Battery 4, I load it up in mono. I forgot the reasoning behind it, but one of the tips that I got way back in the day was doing my drums in mono. I honestly forgot why. Don't ask me. You would have to look it up on YouTube. I couldn't answer that question for you, even if I tried it right now. So, the reason why, well, one of the reasons why I don't use a lot of plugins anymore is because, and I know a lot of people that come back and watch the replay and the highlights are going to be like, you mean to tell me that shit was sitting right in front of my face and I didn't pay attention to it? Yep, because I did it for a long time. And when I learned about it, it caused me to end up adding too many effects. So the reason why when you guys see me do the reviews of my beats from the beat battles and you see my channel strips don't hardly have anything on them, here's why. The Q sampler. Instead of you going through the hassle of trying to do volume automation and going in here, or if you're using a software like Pro Tools who has that feature, or you have the latest Logic update that allows you to clip gain straight on the regions, where you can just grab the little fader on the region and pull it down. Your plugin has a volume knob on it, ladies and gentlemen. You can clip gain right from the plugin. Technically, this is clip gaining in a manner of speaking. Like if you just turn the volume down a little bit on your plugin before you bounce the MIDI to audio, and then you got low pass and high pass filters right here with saturation right here in the Q sampler. Now that's just the Q sampler. Again, you can load and chop your samples up in here, do your drums in here if you choose to. If you got something like Battery 4, Battery 4 has a whole bunch of bells and whistles. Like you got your velocity, you got your low pass, high pass filter, you got compression, you got delay, you got reverb. You can do you can clip gain. What else you got? You got saturation, you can do lo-fi, you got EQ where you can, and again compression. Then you got the transient master. Then you can do modulation. Then you can edit the sample. Not to mention, if you're one of those people that chop your samples up right here on the grid, if you just load the audio file of the sample right here on the grid and chop it up right here, you can take those chops and put them right here in Battery 4 and play it just like a drum machine. Do your sample chops that way. Just to let you guys know, for those who didn't know. You can edit, and you can edit your samples right. You can edit your drums and your samples right here. You can fade in, fade out. You can cut them, all that stuff. You can pitch them up, pitch them down. So yeah, I'm starting to get in the habit of doing most of my effects editing in the plugins if the plugin has, EQ, compression, reverb. That's basically all I use. I use EQ, compression, not compression, not so much. I'm starting to get in the habit of only using it if absolutely necessary. I use more saturation than compression now. reverb and delay, and my reverb and my delay aren't directly on the actual channel. I got them on aux channels. Like I'll show you. See, they're on auxiliary channels. So they're on the sends. So I don't have to load up like 18 different reverbs. Cause I used to be that guy. I used to have I used to have a reverb on the snare, another reverb on the clap, a reverb on this, a reverb on that. I learned that I can make one auxiliary channel, put a reverb and an EQ on that, and then put a send effect on the channel that I need it on, and then I can just dial it in. Same way with my delay. And then I can just dial it in till I hit that sweet spot on whatever I'm using it on. Just like I don't really use a limiter on my master channel anymore. For all of my Logic users, I use the FET effects. And all it is I turn on the distortion, turn that off. I leave the soft saturation on right there on its default setting. And then the master, I got it at minus 0.2 dB. And then I turn the input up to about 2.5, somewhere between 2.5 and 3 dB. And there we go. There's nothing fancy about my mixing techniques. It's like when I use EQ, the EQ my instruments and stuff, I'm doing subtractive EQing instead of additive. I know I'm talking a bunch of technical stuff now, but this is subtractive EQ. Well, this is additive. I'm gonna show you additive first. Additive EQ is, say for example, your kick drum is right. It is the highest peak on your kick drum is right here at 100 hertz. So you boost it. That's additive EQ. When you're boosting the signal. And subtractive EQ is where you're taking away frequencies. So subtractive EQ is basically the easy way to do subtractive EQ. I'm gonna show you guys the easy way to do it so you don't gotta be searching high and low, because everybody uses the FabFilter EQ when they're demonstrating on YouTube, but you can do it in, as long as you got a parametric EQ, which is basically all the EQs, and most of the DAWs look like this. So you take your frequency, you scoop it out like this, take it, turn it up as high as you can get it, but you can still have control of it, and you just sweep through the frequencies and listen for any harsh sounds in the instrument. Like, say for example, you got you playing some strings, and right here at about that 200 hertz, you got this weird screeching sound in the strings. So at two right here, where you catch it at, you just catch it right there, and you bring it down about one and a half, 2 dB, and you just adjust it accordingly. Subtractive EQ, and then you go on to the next band and do the same thing. Narrow out your bandwidth, turn your volume up, sweep the frequencies. Say you find another one right here around 550 hertz. Boom. Drop it down a couple of dB. It'll take that bad frequency out and leave room for the good stuff. And that's subtractive EQing in a nutshell. Another trick you could do to make space is, say for example, this right here is your kick. So we'll put an EQ on there. We're going to put another, and say this channel is your 808. All right, so you got your 808 right here on instrument 1. And on instrument 2, you got your kick. So technically, most kicks in 808s share the same frequency space, which is right here from 20 to 100 hertz. So of course, you know, if you got two instruments sharing the same frequency space, they're going to clash and you're going to get mud in your mix. And nobody likes a muddy mix except for kids who like to play in mud. So, say instrument 1 is your 808. And say its main peak is somewhere around 60 hertz. Okay. So you could boost it a couple of dB to give it that extra oomph. But you don't always have to boost it. So it's sitting at about 60 dB. So your kick, to leave room for your kick, you go to your kick and do subtractive EQ. Get about 60 hertz, because you know that's where the 808 is really thumping at. And you take about 2 to 3 dB out of your kick at 60 hertz. Okay. Now you took care of that space, but you still got space right here around 100 hertz between the two. So let's say your kick is thumping around a little past 100 hertz. Now, depending on the kick, you can boost it a little, about a dB or two. But for your 808, you want to get to that frequency and you want to drop it a couple of dB. So there's one more step to this. This is a 2-part step. So once you take care of the EQ part, now you got some space between the two in the same frequency range. Now here's where you do the mixing to keep the 808 thumping and the kick thumping without losing a lot of the oomph. Get you a compressor. Put it on your 808. Now, the trick to this is you have to make sure that the compressor you're using in your 808 has a side chaining feature or allows you to do side chain compression. So, in the case of using my people that use Logic, you go up to the top right corner, pick your instrument, which is instrument number 2 in this case, which is battery 4, which is where our kick drum is. Just pretending, hypothetically. Then you would turn your auto gain off, your auto release. Now, these are the typical settings that I learned from other producers that apply to pretty much any compressor that you're using when you're doing sidechain compression between your 808 and your kick. You want to take your attack down as fast as you can. So in this case, we're going to leave it at 2. Take your release down as fast as you can. So we're going to leave it there. Then your ratio, right now, I'm just going to leave it at 2-1. Your makeup gain, I'm going to leave that at 0. And then the way I like to do it is I like to take the threshold, dial it all the way back to 0, and slowly dial it back until the needle starts moving. Once the needle starts moving, I try to find a sweet spot where I don't go no further than -5 dB on a meter. I like to stay between -5 dB and 0 dB. And once I get that sweet spot, boom, that's it. Now, depending on how I feel, this is just my personal preference. You can throw a saturation plug-in on your 808 to get that extra grit. I guess you could say the grit or the rumble. That tail end rumble, that boom. Yeah, I might throw a saturation plug in. But if I'm feeling lazy and I'm trying to get it done, I have a plug-in that has distortion on it, saturation. So boom, look at soft saturation. Boom, distortion's done. Sidechain compression. That's it. Another tip: when you're using reverb, I learned this tip. I just grab a reverb and I be sitting there turning knobs, and it would take me hours to tweak the reverb to get it to a sweet spot. All that work when it was a much easier way that still required you to use your ears and took some time to learn. But throw an EQ on your reverb, ladies and gentlemen. I typically throw an EQ on and I cut out 7,000 kilohertz and 600 hertz to where my cutoff points are. And my reverb signal sits right in here in this space. And I pretty much do the same thing on the on my delay, but the delay has a built-in frequency bypass. I don't know why this is set like this, but and that's basically it in a nutshell. That's pretty much most of my mixing process. The rest of it is just me trusting my ears and my instincts. So, does anybody have any more questions? Whether it be software related, plug-in related. But I will say, in addition to getting better with using your ears and trusting your instincts, the other key factor to that is, well, the other two key factors to that is listening to the music and letting the music talk to you. And take your time and pick the right sounds. Anybody can make 10 to 20 beats a day. But the question is that quantity of beats going to be full of quality? Take the few extra minutes to make sure you're picking the right sounds. Like if you listen to all of my beats, a lot of them, the mixing isn't that great. But the sound selection, as of late, now that I've gotten better and being more consistent with it, the sound selection is pretty decent. So if nobody has any more questions, I actually got about 2 hours before I gotta get up to get ready for work. So if nobody has any more questions, I'm going to thank everybody for tuning in to another successful studio session. As always, I have been your gracious host, entertainer, content creator, the Dog Man, aka Mr. 1524, aka Mr. 24 Man, J Kills. I look forward to seeing you all in the next stream. I look forward to seeing you guys, as many of you as possible, in the beat battle this coming Monday. Because I promise you, if you, whoever was tuned in to the last beat battle, and I shocked you with the Murder She Wrote sample flip, my Magnum PI sample flip is gonna take you even more left field. I put it that way. Along with the other beats I made for the other sample flips. I'm actually finally starting to find a zone for my sound to actually sit in. I'm not going to say what it is because it's not concrete yet. Just know that I'm starting to notice certain things when I'm making my beats now and they're finished. And I think I like the path that this journey is taking me. And I'm going to ride this wave and enjoy it because I'm having fun. But if you have a good eye and a good ear, you already picked up on it. So, shh, don't tell nobody. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. The Dog Man, aka Mr. 1524, aka Mr. 24 Man, is signing out. And as always, I'll see you when I see you.